I think we're live.
I think we are.
Okay, hold on. Is that working for you right now?
Yeah, we're
Cool.
live.
All right. Well, what's up, guys?
Welcome.
This is a very different episode today. But we don't really know we're kind of in that off-season point. We're kind of just watching other games and whatnot, other sports, the Bulls and Hawks and everything, and there's not much Bears, obviously. So we're just gonna kind of do a live Q&A. I think it'll be fun. You guys can ask whatever you guys want to know, whether about us or just Chicago Bears going forward. Obviously, 2021 offseason is much longer than any of us want. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do. Let's see. We got our first question already.
Do we?
Yep. It hasn't popped up yet, but so I'm going to read it from my phone. But it says, what would you do with the Bears' top 3 picks if you're Pace or Nagy? Trade for Jimmy G, pick an offensive tackle, QB, and wide receiver? Why don't you go first? What do you think?
I don't think we can trade for Jimmy G. I don't think that's going to be an option. I'd rather go in the draft and select the best player available. I think that's what the Bears have to do. At the end of the day, yeah, we need a quarterback, but there aren't any quarterbacks that I like that we can find at pick 20. So at this point, I'm looking at best player available.
Yeah, I don't see the Jimmy G thing happening. In my opinion, I'd much rather go after excuse me. Much rather go after somebody who's a free agent. Dak Prescott's on the market. I really don't think Deshaun Watson's happening. That's probably a 5% chance. But if I were Pace or Nagy, Nagy, I think is good at picking out quarterbacks, in my opinion. This will be the first year that I think, this will be the first year period that Nagy and Pace get to work together and pick a quarterback. So that could be very interesting. It could work out in our favor. Maybe you see Pace trading up to try and get somebody like Trey Lance. I don't see us trading up for somebody like Zach Wilson. I think he's too high. I think you have to give up too much for that. But it'll be an interesting season, man. I really don't know what to expect. You have to think, unless somebody like Deshaun Watson came to Chicago, Allen Robinson's probably going to get traded away off that franchise tag. But with my first pick, it has to be, if the top 6 QB is there, you have to pick one of them. If not, then you definitely go offensive tackle. I could see Pace definitely going for another wide receiver as well. He likes his wide receivers in the draft. So we'll see what happens. But what do you think about Jameis to the Bears? A, not going to happen. B, don't really want. I don't know. No, I really don't want it to happen. I think you got to start fresh. You got to get a rookie, or a top, one of the top guys in free agency. Whether it's Dak Prescott, like I was saying, whether you can trade for somebody like Deshaun Watson, you have to go after those guys. I think Matt Nagy, like I said to the previous question, he has a chance here to really redeem himself, be able to get a quarterback that he likes, that he thinks will fit in his system. And that could be a benefit to us. We could see somebody, come in and look good, and hopefully the Bears can continue. But what do you think about that, Parth?
I like Jameis Winston. I think he's a pretty good quarterback. Yeah, he does throw a lot of interceptions, and he does have those mistakes. But I think a year under Sean Payton, working with Drew Brees, Drew Brees is a guy who really didn't throw that many interceptions. Yeah, he did a lot, this year because of, his age and stuff. But, he's usually a more of an accurate quarterback. I think just working with Jameis, I think Jameis probably has improved as a passer. There's a reason why Sean Payton didn't put Jameis in. He kept Jameis on the bench instead of Taysom Hill because he wants to save Jameis Winston for next year. I think that's what the Saints are going to do.
Yep.
But yeah,
100%. That's why I said I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Saints are going to retain him, obviously because Drew Brees is retiring. But yeah, I don't mind him that much. I'm just worried about that ball security for sure. I think he's definitely got that strength of, he can move the ball down the field. He makes some great throws here and there, but the inconsistency kind of sucks. But I just don't see it happening anyways. I think the Saints are going to retain him, like Parth was saying. do you think the Bears will push for Watson? We made a video on this. People really, Bears fans are really split. It's between give up everything for him and there's no way we'll set ourselves back for the future. So in my opinion, I don't even think Pace makes a call just because that's who he is. But also, you'd have to give up a ton of draft capital, and this team is in a spot right now where you really need those first rounders. Although Pace has been bad in the first round, for the most part, other than Roquan Smith and those type of guys. But I just don't see him making a push for it. I'm giving it a 5% chance. I just don't see Ryan Pace even trying to make that phone call. What do you think?
Yeah, it's gonna be hard. I don't see the Bears trying to get Watson. It's a really hard trade. At the end of the day, we'd probably have to give up 3 first-round picks, a couple of players on defense. So at the end of the day, I don't think Ryan Pace would do that. Again, you never know. But it's a risky trade. And, the Bears haven't had a first-round pick for the last 2 years. I really think Ryan Pace is trying to grab someone in the first round this year. I think that's the goal from now on. It's not just getting a good quarterback isn't going to make this team good right on the spot. I think there's a lot of holes on this team. And so I think we should just be patient with where we go.
RG3 trade, it's not even worth it.
He's a backup. What?
I like RG3. That just doesn't make sense to me, but I don't know, man. I think you just have to. I mean, if you're going to keep anybody, you keep Foles, since obviously Mitch is going to walk, and you keep him back up, and then you got to get that rookie, or you got to get a top free agent. So, bro, RG3 is an average backup. And then we've got some love from our boy Chris, who donated to himself practically. Yeah. And then Parth as well.
Yeah.
Good going on that part.
I just wanted to do this little donation too.
Good start. We're already making money off of our podcast, off of our stream, I mean. Who you think will be our starting QB week 1? Probably Foles. I would assume it'd be Foles. If you get a rookie, I think that's most likely going to happen. Is Nagy and Pace going to work together, draft a rookie in the first round, like Parth is saying. You don't get this opportunity often. Maybe you trade up. But I just don't see, him going for a top free agent like Dak Prescott. I don't think we even have the money for it. I would love it. I think Dak could be a great fit on this team as well. I like Dak a lot. But I see a rookie coming in, whether that's Mac Jones, Kyle Trask, or if we trade up for somebody like Trey Lance. And if we get Kyle Trask, maybe it'll be later too. We'll see what happens. And then maybe Pace can draft an offensive tackle in the first round. But either way, I think Foles is going to start week 1. And then, obviously if things go wrong, then you put the rookie in later and just give him a little bit of time to learn from Foles and then hopefully come up, because obviously next year is not an easy schedule. But Parth, who do you predict will be starting QB next week 1?
This is hard. There's so many options. The Bears could go anywhere. That we could literally get someone like Deshaun Watson and Dak Prescott, or get someone like Mac Jones or Kyle Trask, or just stick with Nick Foles or Mitchell Trubisky, and it's all over the place. I don't know what the guys inside House all are thinking. They're all collaboratively working on this. So, but if I was in this spot, I think going for someone like Watson is, if you can get it done, you get it done right now, and then you gotta make. But if you don't want to get him, then don't risk it later on. I think if you want him right now, you go for it right now. But other than that, I really could see someone like Carson Wentz. Hopefully, if we can somehow snag him, I feel like that'd be nice. Then again, it's going to come down to Nick Foles, I feel like, or even Gardner Minshew. I think Gardner Minshew is one that a lot of Bears fans could expect to see in week 1.
There are a ton of options, and there's a lot of moves that Pace is going to have to make for the roster this offseason. You could see Jimmy Graham might be gone due to his cap hit. But, I mean, there's a lot of players in this position right now that we're going to have to consider going forward. And there are a lot of options, like Parth was saying. You could go a multitude of different ways. The most likely option that I see is that Pace is going to draft or trade up for somebody in the first round. at quarterback, or he's going to sign a top free agent, or he's going to trade for somebody like Carson Wentz, or Sam Darnold, which is also another option out there too. But I don't see that really happening. I think Pace is going to it's so tough because it's really a question of, does he want to? I mean, if he wants to retain, then he needs to go out and get somebody good. Like, he can't, next season's not an easy schedule alone. You're going to have to make that move. They said they're going to be aggressive in the offseason. They said that quarterback is the top priority, which they said in years past, but they didn't do anything about Mitch. So now that Mitch is more than likely gone, I don't think he's getting any signing.
Do you see them by any chance just building around Nick Foles?
I pray not, but I could see it. Yeah. I think, maybe he does. Maybe he goes like stacked out offensive line in this draft. Maybe, you never know. There's so many different directions Pace can go. It'll be really interesting. He seems to do stuff like out of the dark a lot too. Yeah. Maybe you see him draft a wide receiver early too, which would probably piss off a lot of people.
I would be so excited, honestly. I would just like trade the future for like Devonta Smith. Just imagine
if Allen Robinson walks, then you'd have to assume he's gonna have to make some move.
Yeah,
there's a couple of free agents out there as well. Juju, which I don't really. I mean, I wouldn't mind him obviously because I think he's still great wide receiver. But there's Kenny Golladay out there as well. Chris Godwin is another option out there. But I don't think he signs any of those dudes. I bet he would draft somebody. If we draft a QB, do you see him potentially beating out Foles to start? Depends on how the line's playing. Depends on how the running game is. I think, the second half of the season, the line really stepped up. The personnel on the line when we have James Daniels next season, who's coming back, as well as Tariq Cohen. The running game the second half of the season was pretty lethal. I think it's gonna be really important. We played some poor defenses as well, but Foles was playing some of the better defenses during his time. Other than the Packers when Mitch played them, which was twice. But I could see it, but it just depends on how the season goes. Depends on all the other factors. Does the offensive line, have that push up front right now when we start the season? Is the running game working well? If not, then you have to look at another option probably. Just like when he benched Mitch this season, you never know. You could see it. Thoughts on Montgomery's late season breakout? Why don't you go for that?
Yeah, Montgomery. Like Zach said, the personnel on the offensive line. They all they just put work into each other, and they just got a lot better. The personnel was able to push with their defensive lines. We were winning that line of scrimmage, and Montgomery was playing really well. He was cutting. I think he's been playing well his whole entire time here. It's just I think he was just finally starting to get the yards, and it just was looking flashy. So I'm happy for Montgomery. I think he's going to be a great running back, top 10, top 5. Heard it here first. He could be top 5 in rushing yards next year as well. But yeah, I think he's our running back for the future, and we're lucky to have him here.
As I took a drink.
Yeah.
But go. I mean, my opinion. I knew it was coming. I thought this would be his breakout season for sure. The only problem is I knew at the beginning of the season, as everybody was questioning the offensive line, because Pace obviously didn't do that much to fix the offensive line in the offseason for the 2020 season. He didn't draft any offensive linemen until the 6th, 7th round. So that was definitely questionable. But he's always been the guy that he's going to break. He was one of the league leaders in broken tackles. His yards after the contact when he's running is phenomenal, and he's always been that kind of guy. But I think, definitely like Parth was saying, man, he's going to be the dude of the future. And I think if this line shapes up next season, you also have Tariq Cohen, which, Montgomery, we also saw a lot more in the receiving game this year as well, right? So it could be a great season for our running backs. We'll see what happens. Opinion on Darnell Mooney. First off, I just remember straight out of the draft when we made our reaction video for I think it was day 3. That was day 3 of the draft, obviously because he was a 5th round pick. But we made our predictions for the roster. And I remember thinking that Darnell Mooney was going to, make that jump up, but I never expected him to be a wide receiver too. The way that he stepped up this season, we saw right out of the draft and looking at his footage from college at Tulane, he's such a deadly threat with his speed. And right away, I mean, the Bears were missing that. Taylor Gabriel was our option prior to that in the 2019 season, and the 2018 season as well for us. And obviously with his health concerns, which is really unfortunate because I think he was an awesome receiver as well. Darnell Mooney was the younger, the fresher, in my opinion, even faster option. And so when he stepped in, I never expected him to make that jump, but he's a professional, dude. He's a guy who comes into Hallis Hall and practices, gives it all, and then goes to Soldier Field or somewhere else and puts it all out in the field. And he's an awesome guy. I really want to get a jersey from him in the future. I don't know about you, but I think that's gonna be my next jersey purchase.
Yeah, I've said he's my favorite player, in streams too. Darnell Mooney's just been super fun to watch this year. And I'm excited for him in his future. I think he can easily become a 1,000-yard plus receiver for a very long time. And he might be our wide receiver 1 next year if Allen Robinson leaves, and I think he's up for the challenge. Excited for that, and yeah, possibly we should all go get his jersey. Honestly, let's do it.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. I love the dude. I think the way he stepped up, he just didn't shy away from like any. I don't think he had one drop. I think the entirety of the season.
Yeah,
that was like his fault. And it was some like 3-yard play that was just like a little dump off. I think it was. Oh boy, I don't remember what game it was. It might have been Vikings. But it was literally, he only had one drop this season and he's a rookie, 5th round rookie. That's insane to me. I just, the Bears, especially Ryan Pace, he makes those late round picks and turns them into great, those players turn out great. Eddie Jackson, one of those guys, James Daniels, stepped up huge for the offensive line. Let's see. What was I going to say though? Opinion on Darnell Mooney. Yeah, I don't know. I hope he keeps improving though. That's the thing is, like Parth was saying, he could be wide receiver 1 next year if he has to be, which I would hope wouldn't happen. I'd hope Pace would make some kind of move to get somebody who's solidified wide receiver 1, but you never know. What's up, Bears fans? Diehard OG Bear fan here. Good to see you. Hi, Ty, and hi, Nolan. What's going on with A-Rob for next season? So he's an unrestricted free agent, and most likely what's going to happen is Pace is going to use the franchise tag on him, and then he's going to trade him away, I'm assuming, unless A-Rob wants to play one more season. But due to his, just based off of what his press conferences were saying, we had 365 days to do this, stuff like that, you could just tell it kind of seems like he wants out. He seems unhappy with the situation. Bears fans are pretty unhappy about the situation. He should have been extended a while ago. Obviously, the number 1 producer for this offense. Until Montgomery, obviously, this year, who stepped up big. I would give Montgomery the offensive player of the year this year, even though Allen Robinson definitely deserves that.
Yeah, losing Allen Robinson would be huge for the Bears. The wide receivers coach Mike Furry himself even said this is one of the worst wide receiver groups he's worked with, and that's kind of interesting because we all thought this wide receiver room was kind of stacked.
Yeah.
So now, if we think about it, Anthony Miller and Javon Wims are probably going to be gone next year. So that leaves you with Darnell Mooney, Cordero Patterson's a free agent. Who else is here?
Yeah, they have to make that signing for sure.
Yeah,
if they don't make that signing,
you got to somehow bring back A-Rob, or you got to go out in the draft and draft a wide receiver, and also sign a couple wide receivers too, or else the Bears are going to be really shorthanded at wide receiver. And we're already don't even know who our quarterback's going to be next year. So this offense has a lot of work to do, I think.
Yeah. So if you count Allen Robinson leaving next season, you've got Riley Ridley and Darnell Mooney, and that's it. Yeah. So I don't know where he could go. He could go couple of different places. Obviously, I don't think. I mean, hopefully Pace wouldn't trade him in division, just because I think Pace respects the rivalry too much to be able to do that. But hold up, do you have to dip out?
Yeah, in a little bit.
Do you want to end it right now?
No, we'll end it at 4. Let's end it at 4.
Huh? Okay.
Let's end it at 4.
Y'all think Roquan got snubbed of Pro Bowl and All Pro first? Excuse me. Yes, definitely, 100%. Thoughts on Mike Singletary as DC? That would be interesting, but I don't think that's happening. Bears definitely are in lock for James Betcher, as well as they've got Sean Desai in-house candidate, and I don't even know his name, but the Cowboys defensive back coach as well is also up for that job. What QB do you think the Bears will get? Maybe Matt Stafford? What do you think about that?
That's not happening. The Lions aren't going to trade him to us.
Yeah, I don't think that happens.
They'd rather trade him to any other team than the Bears. Let's think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see that happening, but that would be sweet too. I think Matt Stafford still deserves definitely
I think he's dope, but I just don't think it's not gonna happen.
How do Bears fans rectify the QB spot, and who needs to go O-line wise? Well, the QB spot definitely, like we said before, it goes a lot of different ways. Massey has to go just because of his cap, as well as his performance on the field. Charles Leno, a lot of people really want gone, but I think he had a pretty good season this year. The first half of the season, he was very undisciplined, took a lot of penalties that hurt us, but the line also wasn't playing well. When the line started playing well, Charles Leno had actually, he was one of the top ranked tackles, which is according to PFF, which is, I don't really like PFF, but Bears org, not fans. So how do they go about that? I don't know, man. Pace is going to have to, keep in mind a lot of things, which is cap, as well as the draft and picks. If he decides he wants to give up some picks to go and get somebody like Trey Lance, or if he wants to make a huge jump up and try to get Zach Wilson or somebody. But Nagy and Pace are going to be working through that. So we'll see. They just interviewed Singletary. I did not know that. Did you know that?
I did not. I did not hear about that.
Hold on. I'm trying to look.
Mike,
do you have any info on when they? Sorry about that. Do you have any info on?
Yeah, Adam John just reported it. Hearing that Bears interviewed team legend Mike Singletary for their defensive coordinator opening earlier this week.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. That is news to me. I've been in classes all day, but I don't know, man. That would be interesting for sure. I didn't know about that, but yeah, I didn't know about that.
No, but please just do not mess this up.
I think you just got to stick with somebody who's been working in the league.
Just grab Sean Desai or Jay Rogers.
Yeah. I really don't. I think a lot of people are overlooking James Betcher too. I really like Sean Desai.
Yeah.
I like Rogers too. But James Betcher, when he was with that Cardinals team, I don't think he's had this much talent on a defense, except for when he was in Arizona, they had some good years. Obviously, the Giants in 2018 and 19 were not a good team either.
Yeah.
But that's when he got fired. But their defense is definitely a lot better this season. So you got to question a couple of things. Bears must keep Trubisky. A lot of people disagree with that. I think you just got to go clean slate. Start fresh. I think he needs a new change. I think he needs a change of scenery. I think what's best for the team is Mitch plays, but it's not going to happen. It just doesn't work here, which I love the dude, and I vouched for him many times. But I hope he goes somewhere else and kicks ass. 2022 first rounder, 20th pick, first round, 2021. Javon Wims and second round pick this year for Watson. I would love that. That will not happen. you're going to have to be looking at least 3 first-round picks, as well as somebody who's worth a few first-round picks. Somebody like Khalil Mack, or I don't know if he's worth a few. You definitely get a first round out of him for sure, but I don't know if he's worth 2 in the league's eyes, just because that position is not nearly as important as quarterback. Although Khalil is obviously still very valuable and one of the best edge rushers. Let's see, what was I going to say? Javon Wims, I don't even know, but you could probably get a 6 from him, if that. So this isn't a question about the Bears, but who do y'all want to win the Super Bowl? Thank you for asking a non-Bears question, because
I was kind of getting tired of Bears questions.
But Chiefs or Bills, so it depends. Obviously I don't want the Packers to win because it's the Packers, but I just don't think the Bucs will. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm really rooting for Tom Brady to beat Rodgers, but I'd want an AFC team to win, if anything. Unless Brady makes it to the Super Bowl, then I want him to win his 7th, because that would be nuts. But who do you want?
I have the Bucs versus Bills in the Super Bowl right now. So, I've created a little bracket earlier, so that's who I got, and I had the Bills winning it. But I wouldn't be surprised if Brady won his 7th, and I wouldn't even care if he did. I think that's kind of dope that he would win his 7th right now.
Yeah, you can't argue with that.
Exactly.
It's Tom Brady. So, but as much as you may hate him with his time during the Patriots, gotta respect it. But if the Rodgers makes the Super Bowl, I'm gonna be nervous. That's for sure. I really don't want him to win, but that's my Bears side of me. No more Mitch. A-Rob 2021 first round, 2022 first round for Watson. You need a lot more. You still need a lot more. The most reasonable trade that I would see Houston making is 3 future first round picks, and then Roquan Smith, and then probably 2 second round picks or something like that. This is probably going to be one of the biggest trades, if not the biggest, in NFL history. You don't see often a top 5 quarterback wanting out of a really bad situation and going to get traded somewhere. But if they could, he would walk in the door at Hallis Hall as the best quarterback in franchise history. So, all right, we got like 2 more minutes, guys. So just keep asking a few more questions. Just a few more, anything. But we're going to go like 2 more minutes.
Let's see what I get here. If we don't get anything, it's all good.
Do you have class today?
Yeah, I already had one. Just got to do some homework.
I have class at 5, so I was hoping I could go work out, but don't have time now.
But
I have to walk like 10 minutes to the train station, take the train, the L, and then I don't think I have time, but sucks.
I'll throw this thing out.
How often do you guys do this? I'd like to tune in again. I can't share your question because it hasn't popped up yet for us, but on the phone, this is the first time we've done live streams in the past for games. We've done live streams in the past for games, but we haven't done like a live, we were supposed to record a podcast today. But we post podcasts, almost every, if not other day of the week. So, it's off season. It's getting a little more tough. We didn't really know what to talk about today. There's a couple of things, in terms of news, that we wanted to talk, or we could talk about, but I don't know. We kind of wanted to hop on here and just answer any questions you guys had, because I figured it'd be the same. So, wide receiver prediction for 2021. I'm going to predict that Pace Dude, it's so difficult.
I don't
I
know.
seriously don't know if he's going to draft somebody high or if he's going to go for a free agent. And
I'm
that's
gonna say
a
we
tough thing.
draft Justin Ross. That's one person I'm gonna say we draft.
I think he drafts somebody over free agent for sure, because if you're going to go free agent, then you might as well just sign A-Rob. Like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you just – I don't know. But, maybe dude, what would be awesome is if you could get a stud QB in this draft, get a really slept-on receiver that, like a diamond in the rough kind of receiver, kind of like Mooney. And then, you have – if you could if you could retain Allen Robinson for one more year on the franchise tag, like if he could just come back and play one more year if he wanted to, which I'm sure he doesn't want to, that would be nuts. You'd have a top free agent if you could do that. If you cut some people and move some players around, and then you've got A-Rob and a rookie QB or a good line. There's a lot of different directions. Trade for number 2 overall pick.
No.
Not even worth it for me. I really think one of the most important things about the draft is talent, and then it's development. And that's the biggest thing for the Bears this season, is if they're going to draft a quarterback, they need to, Nagy's going to have to develop this quarterback. So, just like he helped out with Mahomes a little bit, but obviously that was more Andy Reid, in my opinion. Can you get Trubisky on your show? No, we cannot. And yeah, some news. Dan Campbell got hired for the head coach. But guys, that's gonna do it for us. We're gonna head out here. We've got some stuff to do. I've got classes in a little bit. If you guys enjoyed this, please let us know below though. Comment, like, subscribe if you're new here. This is the first time we've done a podcast, quote unquote. That was a live stream, just Q&A. So if you guys like this, it was kind of quick too. Parth and I jumped on like 10 minutes before and said, let's do this.
Yeah.
So in the future, if you guys want more of this, then we'll post ahead of time and make sure everybody can tune in at a certain time, because it was we don't have too many people in here. Sorry, Slim Jim, for you just joined, but yeah, that'll do it for us, guys. So we'll try and figure out something for tomorrow. We'll see what we can record tomorrow. I don't know if Jaylen's gonna be able to make it for the rest of the week. But yeah, that'll pretty much do it for us, guys. Stay safe, make sure to bear down, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.